Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm just going to go through the system requirements for Sparking Zero, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, because they updated from the previous known specs we had from the Bandai Namco website, which was hidden in the HTML. However, they updated it to a little bit more intensive specs, so let's just go through this. For minimum, they need an i5 9600K or the Ryzen 5 2600 with 8 gigs RAM, or a GTX 980 or AMD RX 590. That's for 1080p 60 FPS with low settings. As for the recommended, it's the i7 9700K and a Ryzen 5 3600 with 16GB of RAM, with RTX 2060 or Radeon RX Vega 64. And that would be for 1080p 60 FPS with high settings. So let's go to the comments, and I'll see what specs you guys have, and I'll tell you about approximately what the performance would be. Okay, so yeah, 7700X T with 12 gigs VRAM, AMD 77 Ryzen 7 7000 or 32GB DDR5 6000 MHz RAM. That would definitely be getting above 60 FPS all the time, probably at high settings as well. As for, okay, let's just go down here, a Ryzen 5 7600X with a RX 6800 Speedster with 16 gigs GDDR6 and 32 gigs RAM. Yes, that system will also get above 60 with high settings, 1080p. I'm talking just about 1080p. Okay, so here we have the GTX 1660 with a Ryzen 5 version. So your CPU is 100%. You're going to be able to get 60 FPS with the RAM as well. As for the GTX 1660, we're just going to go to here. This is Tech Power Up's website. This is not 100% accurate, however, we can extrapolate the generalized idea as to how your system will perform. So GTX 1660 is around 12% faster than a 980. So 12% faster means you're gonna get more than 60 FPS at low settings. You can probably, if you want to, just turn up one setting to medium and you'll still get 60 FPS. Now, RTX 3050 Ti with 16 gigs RAM. Your RAM is good. I don't know your CPU, so you'll need to have at least a 2600 for 60 FPS. However, if you're lower than that, you're still going to be able to get 30 FPS with something like a 4-core CPU, 4-core 8-thread CPU like the i7 4790 or i7 7700 or something like that. So yeah, okay, let's just go to your comment. 3050 Ti. Let's just look for the 3050 Ti. There's the 3050 baseline. The Ti variant, I don't see it. So yeah, the 3050 is already 31% faster than the 980, so the Ti variant is probably around 10 or 15% faster maybe. So yes, you'll still be able to get above 60 FPS, and you can probably tune in a few medium settings as well, and you still have 60 FPS. So 3050 Ti will be fine as well. Okay, Ryzen 3 2200G with 8 gigs of RAM, and if it runs at low FPS, what video card would you recommend? Now this comment I gave was the previous specs we knew about. However, now that it's updated, with 2200G, let's compare that. Now this is the CPU website. This is still not 100% accurate. However, like I said, we can get a generalized idea. a 2200G versus the i5 9600K. This means CPU performance. Now, 54% faster on the CPU side for 60 FPS. So you're gonna lose around, if the i5 9600K is 60 FPS, if it's 54% slower, you can take 60 FPS times 54%. And that would give you around 32.4 FPS. So then you take 60 FPS minus 32.4 FPS. So it's 54% slower, meaning you'll be at 27 to 28 FPS. However, we're still not certain as to how accurate the CPU performance metrics is, because they usually overestimate it a tiny bit, so there's still a chance you can get at least 30 FPS, but it's not looking good for the CPU. As for the G, the graphics card would not be good. You'll need at least we saw here, 980. However, you can probably get away with something like a 970 as well, if you're willing to run below 60 FPS on low settings. Okay, next up, Core i3 10100 and a GTX 1060. Now, you didn't state your RAM, but 8 gigabytes would be enough. Most people already have 16, so 10100. Let's just go for 10100. Now the 10100 is 9% slower, so 60 FPS times 9% is you're going to lose around 5.4 FPS, so you're looking at around 54, 55 FPS with the 10100 approximately. And as for your graphics card, you're looking at the GTX 1060, which is around 5% slower. So you're still looking at around 55 plus, around there FPS. This is quite a balanced system in my opinion. Okay, next up, the 10200H. 10200H. Now it's the i5, which runs at 60 FPS, is 28% faster. So 28% faster, we can go to a calculator here again. 60 FPS times 28% is 16.8 FPS. So 60 minus 16.8. So you're looking at around 43 to 44 FPS with that CPU, approximately. Like I said before, it can get a little bit higher, probably because they overestimate the specs sometimes. But that's the general idea, is around 44 FPS. Now, as for your GPU, it's a 1650, like we stated before with, where is it? I swear we did a 1650 already, but let's just do it again then. 1650. 1650, where are you? Here we go. 1650 is around 25% slower. So if a 980 can get 60 FPS times 25% is 15 FPS slower. So 60. So you're looking at around 45 FPS with your 1650. So yet again, this this is probably like a laptop or something, and you're looking at around 40 FPS with this system, 40 to 45 FPS. The RAM is also 100%. Okay. Will it work on a GTX 950M 4 gigs and 16 gigs RAM, an i7 6700 HQ? So let's first go with the 950 because that's going to be a struggle. A 950. Now I don't think we're going to be able to get the M variant here. However, here's the GeForce GTX 950 base. Now the M variant will definitely be a little slower than this. So the base GTX 950 for desktops would get 45% of 980's performance approximately. So what we can do is a 60 FPS times if it is let's just see, GTX 950 is 45% the performance. So we can multiply it by 45%, and that would give us the FPS it's running at. So that's around 27 FPS. So 27 FPS for the 950. If you can overclock it, it can probably get around 30 FPS. Overclock it by a few percentage points, and you can run at 720p instead of 1080p, and you'll definitely get about 30 FPS with that. As for 60 FPS, nope. As well as 1080p, you're gonna struggle there. Now for the CPU, the i7 6700 HQ. 6700 HQ. That's around 60% slower CPU wise. So if i5 9600K can okay, let's just go with the average score, which is 71%. So 60 FPS times 71%. So 60 minus 42.6 would give you, you're probably gonna get around 20 FPS. That's not great. This CPU performance is quite bad. However, like I stated before, maybe they are overestimating the CPU requirements. In that case, you're probably gonna get 25-ish FPS. Still, the CPU is not really, the system all around is not really for gaming anymore. Okay, next up, RX 6750 XT and 16 gigs RAM and a Ryzen 7 5800X3D. Yes, this would run it at 1080p. Let's just confirm the performance for 60 FPS on max settings. So they recommend a RTX 2060 or Radeon Vega 64. Let's go look for the Vega 64 or RTX 2060. Is it the base 2060? Yes. So we got a 2060 here. And let's compare it to your system, which is the 6750 XT. So let's just look for the 6750 XT. Here's your 6750 XT is around 63% faster than an RTX 2060. So this definitely means you'll be able to get above 60 FPS on max settings at 1080p. As for your RAM, yes, and CPU also, you're going to be able to get above 60 FPS. It will run 100%. 3070 Ti, yes, that would run run 100% with your 5800X, you're definitely going to get max settings 1080p above 60. i5 7400. Now this is interesting. First 4-core 4-thread CPU, which I'm not sure will do it. Let's just see. 7400. Now the 7400 is the i5 9600K is 47% faster. So what we can do is extrapolate yet again. 60 times 47%, so then 60 minus 28.2, so you're probably gonna get just around 31 FPS with your i5 if you're lucky. Now this is, like I said, not absolute, because this is just generalized. This is a blend between speculation and what we already know, so not 100%, but you can probably get around just 30 FPS with that CPU. Let's go a 1050 or graphics card. Let's just go back to a 980, and then we're going to look for the 1050. The 1050, where are you? Okay, the GTX 1050 is let's just see, it is 52% slower. So 60 FPS times 52% is 31.2 FPS. So 16 minus 31.2, we've gone here around 28.8 FPS or 29 FPS if you want with the 1050. Now this is a 1080p low settings, however you can still reduce to 720p and get above 30 FPS, or you can just overclock the graphics card slightly and you'll still get around 1 or 2 FPS more. And I'm not sure if Sparking Zero has FSR, but you can also utilize that if it is in there to get above 30 FPS. But yes, it would run, however it's gonna run poorly. Okay, i3 9100F, 9100F. Okay, yes, you're gonna get 9% lower FPS. Let's just go with 60 times 9%. You're gonna lose around 5.4 FPS from 60. So 9100F is gonna get around 55 FPS approximately. And your GPU's RX 5700 XT, yes, it would definitely be getting above 30 FPS and 60 FPS. So your CPU is actually going to bottleneck your GPU a little bit, but you're going to run at high settings with that graphics card. Yes, the 3070 Ti and 4700G would probably get above 60 FPS, GPU wise definitely, but CPU wise just about 60 FPS, so that would work fine. At i7 10750H, yes, that would work. A 3060 as well, it's gonna get above 60 FPS at max set or high settings. Your RAM is also good. Ryzen 7-5700U, your Vega graphics might struggle, however the 5700U would probably play it. But since this is a laptop, you can't upgrade your GPU, so unfortunately that's not going to work, probably. Maybe the Vega graphics with at 720p settings with FSR or something might just get you above 30. I'm not sure, but this is gonna struggle. Now here's an interesting one, because these CPUs are very common. The 4-core 8-thread CPUs from Intel's generation between 2010 and 2020. So there's a lot of people still running these systems, including me. So i7-3770 with RX 6400, 16 gigs RAM. How well will it run? Okay, so i7-3770. Let's just go for i7-3770. It's around 35% slower than an i5 9600K. So if a 9600K gets 60 FPS, if you take 35% from it, it's 21 FPS. So 60 minus 21 FPS well, then that would set you at around 39 FPS with the i7-3770, which is above 30, so the CPU still will play it. However, if you look at something like a 2600K, I'm just going to go to the oldest I'd probably go, 600K. Let's just go here. It's 32% of 60. 60 times 32%. So you're going to lose 19.2 FPS. So 16 minus 19.2. So you're going to see like the second gen and third gen CPUs would lose around 20 FPS from 60, so it's around 39 to 40 FPS. However, I'm not sure if AVX2 is going to be a requirement for this game. If it is, it's not going to be playable. If it is not, in which case Unreal Engine games usually don't have AVX 2.0 requirements. So that would mean even something like the 13-year-old i7-2600K will play Sparking Zero at least above 30 FPS. Now, your GPU is a 6400. The 6400, let's just look for it here. Here's the 6400, 73% of a 980. So if a 980 gets 60, okay, then we're gonna go multiply that by 73% and we'll be able to get the approximation, which is your GPU would probably get around 30 or 44 FPS, 43 to 44 FPS. Okay, next up, 1650 Ti, yes, that would, we already done a 1650, so yes, that would play it. However, it's not going to be high quality, 1080p, low settings and stuff, CPU wise as well. You're not going to get 60, but you're definitely going to get above 30. 750 Ti, now this is going to be a struggle. The 750 Ti will probably suffer. Let's just go look at the 750 Ti. Where are you, 750 Ti? Should be around here somewhere. Oh, there, no, there you are. So you're gonna only get 36 of the percent of the performance of the 980. So 60 FPS times 36%. Would get you garner you 21.6 FPS at 1080p low settings. So you're gonna probably want to go to 720p low settings and probably overclock your card, as well as if there is FSR implementation, put it to FSR quality. then you're probably going to get 30 FPS. So this is cutting it very close. So not recommended, but yes, it should at least get 30. If you're going to overclock your GPU and do all the things, you can possibly to just get 30 FPS. Not recommended, but likely. Now for your CPU, i5 650, I don't think that's going to cut it at all. That's quite a weak CPU, i5 650. It's 100%, 101% slower. So yeah, that's gonna be something not, and it's only 2 cores, 4 threads. No, that's not gonna work at all. I can see it only getting like 5 or 10 FPS at most. Your RAM is okay, but you need to upgrade the platform definitely. A GT 1030, that also doesn't sound like something that would be able to play the game. GT 1030 is way lower bottom barrel. Let's just look if we can find one here. Okay, GT 1030 is 24% of a 980, so 60 FPS times 24%. That states you'll get probably like 14 FPS, which is unfortunately not playable. And your i5 9400, yes, that would probably play the game. So just upgrade your GPU. 8 gigs RAM and CPU likely will play at least above 30 FPS. It's actually gonna play 60 FPS or like 55 or something, because it's not a K variant CPU. However, your GPU can't cut it. Now another one with the i5 9400, you already did a GTX 1650. You'll definitely be able to play it. It's gonna probably be falling around 40 FPS with that GPU, depending on your settings. CPU wise, 55 plus FPS. A GTX 640, that's not going to work. An i5 7750 would not work as well. A 4060 and a 5700 XT, that would definitely play above 60 FPS. The 3060 Ti would be enough for 1440p. I'm not sure about that. If you tune your settings to be like medium or something, probably, but not definitely. Okay, 11400H, that would work. A 3050 Ti, yes, that would also play it. A 7800H or RTX 2050, yes, that would play it. A 5700 and RX 6400, we just did it, RX 6400, yes, it would play it, but it will be a struggle with that GPU a little bit. A 1660 Super will run it at above 60 FPS, and a 3600 as well. So you're set there. And the Ryzen 9 5980HX and the RX 6800M would also play this game above 60 in my opinion. 3400G, yes, that would, the CPU would play it, but the Vega 11 will be a struggle. Now for the RTX 2060 Super and the i7 9750HF, yes, it will play it. Same with this i5 13450HX and RTX 4050. That's weird. Probably a laptop type of thing. Yes, this was also played depending on your i5. And ASUS stuff, yes, this 12th gen CPU would play it, and a 3060, yes, that would play it fine. Now for our next comments. Let's just see. 3600X and 1660 Super, yes, it would be playing. 1650, we already done that with the i5 11th Gen, yes. 1650, yes. 8 gigs RAM, yes. 11400F, yes. i5 10400. Okay. Will it be enough to play 60 FPS? With the GPU, yes. CPU, yes. Yes, you're going to be able to do high settings. 7700 Ryzen 7 7700 RTX 4070. You're pretty fine. You don't even need to worry about that. 1650, we already done that with Ryzen 5 5600. You're going to be playing this, but the 1650 might not get 60 FPS unless you drop the resolution. 3050 laptop and a 1360 620H, 16 gigs RAM, yes, that would play it. Probably like medium settings, not high settings, because it's the laptop variant of 3050. But you still get 60 FPS. The 4060 and 5600X with 16 gigs RAM, yes, that will play it at 60 FPS high settings. i5 7500, we did a 7400, I think, and that's cutting it close. You're probably just going to get 30 FPS with that CPU. The 1660 Super, yes, that would play it easily, and 8 gigs RAM is the baseline, so yes. 1080p low settings. Your GPU can actually push more than the CPU, so the CPU is bottlenecking it a bit. Can you play on a Ryzen 5 3400U and AMD Radeon Vega? So the Vega graphics is going to struggle, however the CPU is fine. If you can upgrade your GPU to at least like a GTX 1060 or something. But if it's a laptop device, there's no way around it. Next comments. Okay, RX 6650 XT, yes, that would play it. I'm not thinking you're going to be able to do 1080p max settings. However, it's going to be close to that. You're definitely going to get like maybe like 58 FPS or something, 55 to 58 FPS. It's slightly lower. Let me just make sure. RTX 2060 versus 6650 2060 Super. RTX 2060 6. Okay. Okay, so it's 35% faster, so you're actually going to get high settings above 60 FPS. So max settings 60 FPS. i5 12900, RTX 4060, yes, that would also play it. 5600 and RX 6400. The 6400 is cutting it close, but it will probably getting a at least 30 FPS if you lower the resolution and such. 3050, yes, that would play it with Ryzen 5 7640HS. Yes, that would play it. Don't use your integrated graphics at least. i3 9100, 9100. i3 9100. Let's just go and check the performance on that one. Yes, it would definitely get at least like 50 FPS, 55 FPS. So the CPU is going to be a little bit slower, but you're not getting 60, but you're still in playable areas. surprising for i3. Your 5700 XT would definitely play it as well. Okay, i5 10500H, yes, that would play at 1650 as well. However, this is probably the laptop variant, so you're not going to be getting high quality settings, just low 1080p. Probably use FSR if it's in the game, and you'll be getting at least about 30. RTX 2060 gaming laptop, so if it's a 2060 variant for laptops, it's going to be a little bit lower end than the original 2060 for desktops. However, you'll still be getting like high settings, 58 to 55 FPS on 1080p. We already done the i5 7500 1660 Super, 3050 yes, with that Ryzen 7 yes, 3700X yes, with RTX 3070 yes, 3050 Ti and 11400H, that will also do it. RTX 2060 and i7 9750HF, yes, that will play it. Yeah, this depends on your graphics card, and that's about it. I've gone through all my comments. Like I said, you can't get. I probably play on lowest specs on the graphics side, and still get. You remember, you can lower your resolution from 1080p, so you can probably use like 720p, and get away with like a GTX 960 or AMD RX 470 or something, you know. So this is not definitely the minimum for 30 FPS. So you have some tools in your barrel, meaning lowering the resolution to 720p, and you also have the ability to overclock your GPU a little bit, and you can also accept 30 FPS instead of 60 FPS. So there's some room for debate on minimum requirements here. As for recommended, you know what you need for 60 FPS. The gamers that want 60 FPS definitely get yourself an RTX class graphics card. And that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope your system can play the game, and yes, we're all excited for this game. It's going to be great. There's a lot of characters. 182, that's amazing. And remember, there's also DLC coming, so it's going to be like 203 characters or 202 characters within a few months. So that is crazy. Well, thank you for watching, and see you all next time. Goodbye.